Hi everyone, it's Mr. Hutton here. Unfortunately, we can't have lessons due to the lockdown next couple of weeks, but hopefully we can do as much thinking and planning as we can so that when we get back into school, we can start doing what is a very practical project for this half term. Now, the scenario is that we're going to make a car. It's a toy car. It's not a big car. It's not a full-size car. It's a toy car, but it's made of various materials. Recycled materials, and it comes in the form of a kit. So the idea is that it's not a finished gleaming product that you get in a box. It's a bit more practical. So some parts are pre-made, other parts the kid has to go and find them in the real world, and that they can put their car together themselves and personalise it and make it into their own thing. So that's the plan, okay? That's the plan for the project. I've done it on other years. It's been really popular and successful. Hopefully, this will be as well. And in all of this, we're trying to develop your practical skills and really give you the tools and the information to make sure that you can join the GCSE next year with the best, with everything you need, okay? So the scenario is that a traditional toy company wants to move away from using plastic. Now, there's a big debate in the press. We all know about it, about using plastic. You know, you can't really recycle it. It's really bad. It comes from fossil fuels, etc. So using more sustainable materials. Now, something that's sustainable, the best example is wood. You know, if you cut down a tree, you can just plant a new one. It's much, much easier. And then having something where the kid is actually actively involved in putting it together themselves. In the same way that Lego is so popular, because it does take, it's not just playing with the thing at the end, it's just putting it together yourself. It just gives you so many kinesthetic, hand-eye coordination, manual dexterity, which is great for you as a person. It really is. So, there we go. I want you to read through this sheet now, get familiar with it, pause this film, and then I'll talk about the next steps. We should be on the same page now. You should know what this project is all about. And first of all, I want your initial reactions to it. So it's a brain dump. It's trying to get all that stuff that you're thinking about at the moment onto paper, and it might be useful in the future. You might want to go back to and think, yeah, that actually, I've thought about that at the start, and that was really important. I'm really going to stick to that idea. I'm not going to do what he's doing. I'm going to go with my gut reaction. So in the middle, where it says kit car, I want you to be thinking about what parts could you have as, what parts are important in a kit car or a model car, what parts are not important. So you should be thinking, right, okay, I've got to have some parts which needs to be really strong, like really sturdy, or else, it's not going to work. And then other parts, what parts could be easily changed, and could I make it into a different design? Does it have to be a racing car? Could it have a different sort of design? Could it be a tank or some other sort of military vehicle? Or could it be like a spaceship that, whizzes around? In terms of the power supply, that's got to come from a battery and a motor. Okay, so how can I make sure the battery, I can take it out easily and things like that? Can I change something if it doesn't work? Can I make it quicker? How do I make it quicker? How do I make it run faster? Etc, etc. So have a think about all that sort of stuff, write it down, put your own ideas, pause the film, and then we'll talk about the specification. So now, after thinking and doing the mind map, you should know what's going on now. We're ready for the specification. Now, it's probably not the final specification, but it's just a line in the sand to say, yep, this is what we're doing. This is where we're going. Now, specification is the things that must happen. Now, if I went to a coffee shop and I got myself a coffee, there's certain things that I'd expect. I'd expect them to happen. I'd expect it to be expensive. I'd be very surprised if it wasn't. But if I went into a branded coffee shop and I got a coffee and I tasted it and it didn't taste good, I will take it back. If I went to a coffee shop, got a coffee and I tasted it and it was cold, I would take it back. If I went to a coffee shop and got a coffee and it dripped all over my jeans because there's a hole in the bottom, I'd take it back. So these things are absolutely essential. And it is the point where you go, whoa, hang on a minute. That's not quite right. I've got to make sure that this is good. So think about it in terms of your toy car. Think about it being exciting. Has to be. Who wants to open it on Christmas morning? Some, really boring activity. Make it as exciting. Make it a real challenge for these kids. They have to really fight with it. It's not an easy bit, oh yeah, that's dead easy. They have to really grapple with it and try and get things together. And that's why I like this project. There's a lot of that going on. So pause the film, write your specification, things that you need to happen. Oh, have to keep it safe, don't you? Yeah. Write the list, and then we'll talk about the tools and equipment next. Okay, so do that now. Pause the film, and then we'll continue. Now, on this second page here, we'd be thinking about the tools and equipment and how you do use them. Now, normally in the workshop, I'd be able to hold it up and say, this is a tenon saw. And you go, oh, great, that's what it looks like. But now I can't do that. And I don't really have the specialist equipment here at home. I've got a bit of it, but not all of it. So you're going to have to go on Google and have a look. Do a picture search, find a picture, and then either paste it in, so you can actually use this document and paste it in if you want to, or you can just do it on a piece of paper. I don't mind. It's the knowledge that's important. Don't care with the format, I'm not bothered. So you can do it on the actual PowerPoint, print it out, or write it on a piece of paper, don't mind. But find a picture. Find a picture. Being able to see what it is really important. So if I say to you, go and get a tenon saw, you need to know what that is, okay? So be visual. Secondly, why do you use it? Why use this particular tool and not another one? And hopefully it's self-evident, but hey, I'd like to see what your responses are. Why do we use steel metal rulers rather than the flimsy plastic ones? Tell me, what's a bench hook for and why do we use it? Now, with every piece of equipment, think about the risk rating. Is it low risk? In other words, you'd have to be a total banana to hurt yourself, or high risk. Whoa, that's fairly likely you might hurt yourself. So where's the risk rating? And what's the main risk to the health? Now, often it's something that you don't really think about. It might be you dropping it on your toes. So you think, oh, it's got a sharp blade. But actually, the sharp blade is not as significant as dropping it. Or the dust you produce by using it is more harmful than anything else. So have a think about your main risk to health, okay? Like I say, you can do it as you want. You can do your own page if you want to. You can do it on line paper, draw a picture, don't mind. It's the knowledge and the content that's important, okay? So do that and then we'll continue. Now, after we've looked at all the tools, we need to put the tools into action, okay? Now, we can't do that in the lesson at the moment, but we can do the thinking at home so we're ready. So the production process, you know exactly what to do, and bang. We're going to have less time to do the project now, so we need to really make sure that the practical parts are good. So what I've got here on this sheet is the how to do it. We're going through in 5 really key stages of the chassis. The chassis is the main part of the car, the bit that's going to be strong and sturdy, and it's the bit that would be made for the child, okay? So we're not expecting the child to make the chassis, you're going to make the chassis, but in the kit that they would buy, the chassis would be made for them, and they would add the wheels and put the motor in, etc. themselves, but you're going to make the chassis. Now, in a normal car, the normal chassis of the car is made of steel, it's super strong, and all the bits of the car are bolted onto the chassis. And I'll tag in a little video that I've seen about Tesla cars being made. Really nice little film of how the bits are put onto the chassis. Now we're going to make the chassis out of MDF wood. I'm going to give you a long piece of wood and we're going to be marking it out very accurately and cutting the wood very accurately with our steel rule, measuring, etc. Joining the pieces with a simple half joint. A simple half joint is 2 halves put together. We're going to put a little support piece in the corner, add some glue, adhesive, make them join together. And then we're going to have a support piece in the middle that's going to hold the motor. Now that's really important we get that right. The motor has to be solid, it has to be solid, so all the power from the motor is given back to the wheels so it goes quickly. You don't want a car that's rolling along the floor, like a tortoise. You want to be whizzing along. And at the end of the project, we'll be able to take them into the playground and test them out. Who's the fastest? Okay, so that's what we're trying to do. So I'd like you to read through this sheet, making sure you're familiar with the terminology. So, you know, what is a posi drive? What does that mean? If I ask you to get a posi drive screwdriver, what does it look like, etc.? So make sure you're familiar with making the chassis so that when we come into the lessons, we're good to go. So that's a bit of work for you for this double lesson. Hopefully you're up to speed with me and it's not too much work for you. If you're finding it difficult, message me and I will help you out. If you need any additional work, I can point you in the right direction, etc. So keep the contact going and hopefully we can be ready for our practical lessons in a few weeks' time. That's all from me now. I'll see you soon. Thank you.